Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily Business Tech Boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and break them down into bite-sized tips you can use right away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Rise and shine, it's your daily dose of business tech inspiration with me, Charly Leetham. Episode number 343, we're going to be talking about software updates again and why it's important. And today I'm going to dig a little deeper into the why it's important. Of course, I'll do some practical hints and tips there about how you can do them and what you need to be thinking about. But I actually wanted to sort of hit this one a bit harder again. I'll probably cover it a couple more times throughout this series as well, because it's one of the foundational things we can do to make sure we stay safe, particularly online, but also just within our technology. Now, some of you will have been around in the good old days of the internet and computing, where we would apply an update and it would often work. Well, it would often not work as often as it would work, and sometimes it would just not work, and we would take days fixing problems to try and get it back to where it was. And that has led to a lot of people these days going, I've got my software installed, I don't want to update it, I don't want to pay, I don't want to have the problems with an update not working or it breaking something. And I fully get it. I totally get it. This day and age, it is, I'm going to say it's considerably better. There are still times where an update goes through and it changes your interface or it changes the way something's done. You're like, why? Unfortunately, you do need to apply the updates, and let me go through why. When software is released, and we are talking about software, right? We're talking about the things that run your computer, your operating system, Windows, that's software. We're talking about, if we're talking about a web server, we're talking about the MySQL server, we're talking about PHP, we're talking about Apache, so they're web service things. We're talking about, again, if we go back to our computers, Microsoft Word, Excel, Adobe, whatever it is, whatever version of Adobe you're running, the video recording software that you use, that I'm using to record these videos, that's all software. Now, when those pieces of code, when that application is released to the general public, it has been tested. It's been tested reasonably well, but I'm not going to say it's been tested overly extensively. It's released knowing that it will work in, if I use the Pareto principle, 80% of the use cases. Then it goes out and people start using it, and you get the bright sparks who go, well, we're going to tear this code down. We're going to go through it and we're going to find where the problems are. So you do actually have people, good people, what we call white hat hackers, sometimes, going through the code to find out where there are problems. Sometimes they're doing it just to find out what's changed. Other times they are actually going out there and looking specifically for problems. So that's okay, that's fine. And that's a good function for them to have. So when they're doing their thing, they'll often find problems, and they'll find problems with the way a function has been used, or a variable has been saved, or permissions have been allowed on certain functions. And those things generally cause security issues. They normally, well, sometimes, I've got to be very careful with my language, but sometimes they leave the application open for exploitation. And once that application gets exploited, by exploited I mean it gets hacked. Once it gets hacked or exploited, that may or may not give the person who's got access to that application, access to your computer, access to your web server, access to your camera, your microphone, whatever, your network, and be able to get out around your network and find other devices on your network. Now it all sounds a bit movie showish, doesn't it? But movies have a real foundation in reality, and this is part of the reality that we deal with. So that's one thing, is that when an application first goes out, it's 80% right. And we know that the 80-20 rule, it's going to work for 80% of the use cases. People find faults with it, people who go looking for the faults find faults with it. They find security implications. Those get reported back to the company, and the company then goes and fixes those issues. Then they issue the next piece of code, the fix for it. They issue the patch. A patch is a very quick it's a quick fix that's released to address those particular issues, or they might issue a partial upgrade, minor upgrade, or they may do a major upgrade. Now, when those pieces of code go out, there's a thing called a changelog, and that changelog says, we fixed these problems. And these problems were blah, 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 blah. And one of them will be, and this was actually exploitable, and and hackers sit and read those change logs and go, oh. So people running version XYZ of the code will have, or the application will have this specific vulnerability. Let's go find who's using XYZ of this particular application and use that exploit to get into their computer. Now, if you haven't updated and you're still running that version of software, they're going to find you. They may find you, and if they find you, they'll be able to exploit your computer. They'll be able to, or your web server, or your phone, and they'll be able to take control and do whatever it is they can do that exploit allows them to do. Now, sometimes the exploits are minor, and sometimes they can be very major. So that's why updates matter, because when the updates go through, no matter what extra functionality is being added, they are generally also addressing other issues like security vulnerabilities. So that's why updates matter. And yes, I know it's a pain in the neck because we just don't know whether it's going to work. We don't know what it's going to change. So you sometimes sit there and go, I don't want to do the updates. I don't want to do the updates. You have to do the updates. Absolutely have to do the updates. If you delay doing the updates, you are leaving yourself vulnerable, because people know what the vulnerabilities are with that piece of code. So that's why it's really important that you do your updates, and it's really important for the security of your business. If you can imagine getting hacked, having a data breach that reveals personally identifiable information for your clients to the internet, then you have to go through all of the mandatory reporting that's in place to say, yes, we got hacked, yes, our database was breached. And then you get to the line that says, were all your, or the question that implies or asks specifically, were all your systems up to date? And you have to say no. And when they say why, it's like, because I couldn't be bothered. It's a problem. You can avoid it by keeping your updates up to date. Okay, I know I'm ranting on about this. I know I am taking this through and keep repeating myself. It is one of the most important things we as business owners can be doing. So how do you handle your updates so that you aren't disrupted, so that if something does go wrong, you can roll it back, or the issue is minimized? There's a couple of things you can do. First of all, block them. Do small amounts of updates at any one time. If you have a Windows update to do the Windows update. Let that run, get that one done. Once your Windows update is done, then do the next update, then do the next update. Don't sit down and say, right, well, I'm going to update my Windows. I'm going to update Windows. I'm going to update all of my Office products. I'm going to update Adobe. I'm going to update OBS. I'm going to update Snagit. I'm going to update all of this software. Now, the reason I say don't do it all at once, if something breaks, we don't know where to start looking. The best we can do is roll back all of the updates you've done, and that's assuming that you've allowed for rollbacks on your computer. The best we can do is roll back all of the updates and then do them one at a time anyway. So your best thing to do is do your updates incrementally. Don't try and do it all at once. Do them one at a time. That way, if something breaks, you know where it's broken and we know where to start looking. Same thing with your web server. I will go through and I will do web server updates, the actual foundational updates on a particular day. And I'll do all the servers on a particular day. And if something breaks, I know it's because I've done the updates and it's one of the updates that's gone through, so I can go through and work out which update it was, fix it on all of the servers. We don't do our WordPress updates on the same day that we do our server updates. Not only is that likely to cause us grief because the server's updating and then WordPress updates and something gets overwritten and breaks itself, I then know that it's WordPress that's broken. It's WordPress that's caused the problem here. I know where to start, or I know that I updated these plugins, so it's one of these plugins that's caused the problem. So I know where to start. So make sure you have a schedule for which what updates you're doing and when you're going to do them. The best thing I think you can do is schedule time for the updates. Make sure you've got time available and do them either during slow periods or do them during non-business hours. Now, I don't know if you guys remember a couple of months ago, there's a big problem with Microsoft and people not being able to run up their Microsoft products. It was particularly business owners not being able to run up their business software, and it was crashing out and people were down for days. And finally it came out to someone in the organization that managed the rollout of the updates to computers had pushed a change, and they'd pushed the change on Friday afternoon and then gone away for the weekend, and they hadn't documented that they'd pushed that change. There's a lot of comment about don't push changes on Fridays because you want to have a weekend off. Now, that's fine. If you want to have a weekend off, don't make your changes on Friday. Do them Wednesday night, do them Thursday night, do them whatever is your slow time, do them then, but don't push. My gut feel is don't do your changes on Friday. You'll ruin your weekend. Now, if you're okay with scheduling your weekend and saying, well, I'm going to do the updates and I might need to spend the weekend fixing up problems, then that's okay. You've made that decision. But if you want to have a weekend, then don't push your changes. Don't do your updates on Friday. That's one of my recommendations. Keep a log of your changes. It just needs to be a Word document. It can just be an online document. Spreadsheets are good for that as well. You can just have a list of the changes that have gone through, what date it was, what systems were updated, if you can, what versions they were updated to. And then that way, if there's a problem and someone says, oh, I'm having a problem, you can say, well, was it occurring before this date? No. Okay, well, it's probably the update. If it's occurring before this date, then it's not the update that's introduced it, it's something else. So you can start then, and even if it's not you that does that, even if it's your technical person or the people that you bring in to help you resolve the problem, it gives them a place to start looking. And that, honestly, when we're doing troubleshooting, that's the biggest thing that I find is we need a place to start looking for the problem, rather than just, well, we'll start at this end and we'll work our way through. If I can work out that it was an update occurred here at this date, problem started occurring, I'll start looking at what those systems there that were updated do and whether it's those systems there that are causing the problems. Hope that makes sense. So that's why doing your software updates is really important, and you need to do them regularly. I don't think you need to do them every day. Like I know that I'll get a notice and saying your Windows needs updating. I've set my computer so that it will do the updates. It'll download the updates. They'll be sitting there. It will tell me the updates need to be done. And then when I close down, I can say, yes, update and shut down. And so it'll update the computer, shut it down. When I start up in the morning, I know that I've got to be a little careful that an update went through and maybe there's going to be problems, but I know that. So you can do that. As I said, We do weekly, as I've said in previous podcasts, I do weekly updates on most of the systems, unless it's a major security upgrade. Major security upgrades are done when they needed to be done immediately. If they're going to put anyone at risk, I need to make sure that we address that very quickly. But most updates are done weekly. And I have a day that we schedule, we do the updates, we make sure everything runs, we make sure we've got it documented, and then don't touch it again until the next week. Just some thoughts there. Okay, what do you guys think? Are you doing your updates? Do they leave you cold thinking about the fact that you need to do the updates and they might break, that they're just a pain in the neck and there's so much work? And they're literally unproductive because you've got to spend time monitoring them. I would love to know your thoughts. Leave comments wherever you are watching or listening to this video. If you can, please remember to like this channel, subscribe, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. I put out an awful lot of content, and apart from just my daily episodes, there is other stuff that comes out as well, so that you might find that useful. If you want to get in touch, I do have a community for business owners to come and talk to me about technology, about running your businesses, what you should be doing. Is this a good thing to do? How would you approach this? What things would you look for? What questions would you ask? Ask charlyleetham.locals.com. Please come across and join the discussion there. I'm on there. And of course, if you DM me on any of our social media channels, I will respond to you. It might take me a couple of days, but I will respond to you. All right, guys, tomorrow we're going to be talking more about social engineering attacks and how you can recognize them and mitigate their effects. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.